Hey guys, JD here with the 1998 Kawasaki STX 1100. So as you can see from the gel coat here, I've done quite a bit of work polishing and buffing this ski out. It's coming along really great. It does need some more work in the footwells, but you could see looks 100% better than when I got it. I've got the brand new vinyl, got the brand new traction pads. But first I'm going to show you how to replace this LCD screen. Our next step is going to be to remove the 4 Phillips bolts that hold this handlebar cover in place. That'll allow us to access the remainder of the 10mm bolts holding this upper fairing on. You should be able to get this handle right off. That'll allow us now to remove this shroud here. We're not going to have to take the handlebars off because I just need to move this up enough to get under it. And there's our old screen. Pulls right out. Once you get this flange off, you're going to pull on that. There's a rubber gasket in there. Alright, so the old display is out. You can see it's right here. Now I am going to attempt to repair this display, but I haven't done that before, so if that works out, then great, I'll have an extra one. But what I did is I went ahead and I found, this is a lightly used replacement part. This meter's got 70 hours on it, and it's got a couple of scratches on it. I don't know if you could see, but it's in very good shape, and it was sold to me as being in working condition. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. We're going to hook it up, then I'm going to fire up the ski, and we're just going to make sure that everything works. So using an 8mm socket, we've got the new bracket tightened in place. Then here's our wires for the meter, for the MFD. Those we've fed through this little rubber gasket here. So there is our new display. The digits are all real crisp, everything works. All right, so this was a mess up here. So now I'm gonna get some rags and some corrosion block, and we're gonna clean up all this aluminum, get this back together. So we've got this all bolted back together, we've got it lubed. This is the handlebar pad in place. I just sprayed down this handlebar cover here with some mild bleach solution. That's going to kill any algae that was growing on it. And you could see, if you look in here, it was all black. I've been spraying it down here. Spraying down all this just to clean it up. Someone's got this non-marine fuel line, and they've got this non-marine filter, so I'm going to get rid of all that and get this get the fuel system straightened out on this. And then I also have this temp sensor here. I ordered this. This is a used part that I just acquired. You can see the previous owner has it bypassed here. It's supposed to mount right here. And I've read that once this is removed, some people do that because it doesn't have an ECU, but the CDI will default to an advanced timing mode when that temp sensor is removed. And I don't want the timing advanced too much on this 2-stroke. I want to keep it closer to stock. So I'm going to make sure that this temp sensor is once again here, and I'm going to replace these hoses. So stay tuned. So to remove this vinyl here, you kind of got to do a little bit of yoga. There's 3 threads on each side underneath, and so you got to reach in there and get them off. And then there's one right in the center here. So to get the center one, you got to pull off the glove box gasket. Then on either side, right under here, you have a plate like this with 2 10mm bolts, and there's one more bolt right in the middle of this foam thing here. So they definitely didn't make it easy, but there's your bracket right there. Then our glove box, as you can see, could just be moved out of the way. Yeah, and there's one more 10mm nut right there. Okay, so now this should just lift right out of the way. So again, for anybody watching this, you could see that the fuel valve on the tank here, obviously the selectable petcock was broken. That's the cable operated valve. So someone stuck a piece of 1/4-inch copper tubing down in there, and then look, there's not even a hose clamp here. And this fuel line that's in here now, you can see that 1/4-inch SAE. Now you don't have to be a genius. SAE, that stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. That's an automotive fuel line. And look, there's no hose clamp on there. This is extremely dangerous. This setup allows fuel vapors to escape into the bilge. And also, if you look over here with this e-box with all these broken connections, if a spark was to be thrown off, it could ignite, and if you've seen the videos on the internet, the ski will just explode. And so this all needs to be remedied. All new fuel lines, proper clamps on everything, and a proper fuel petcock valve. They have just... This was supposed to be the feed line, and this is supposed to be the breather line. And that hose is shot. And this is just all wrong. So I'm going to get this off, get this rigged up fuel valve out of the way. First I'm going to get some air, blast this to clean up the surface, and that's going to be our next step, is to get that fuel valve fixed while we have this all apart. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that old valve assembly out, and then you can see here is a used part. This one needs to be cleaned up a bit, but this is what the part should look like. So this is the kind of thing you get when you buy used skis, where people don't know how to work on them. Also, look at this. There is a break in that copper pipe, so even though that was in there, it was sucking air. So I'm sure it couldn't have been, it was idling fine, but couldn't have been running very good. And this part is just very dangerous. Someone just completely botched job this. Anyway, this part is the right part. It's not going to allow fuel vapors to escape into the bilge like that one was. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw a new O-ring on here and get this in place. All right, so we've got our OEM petcock valve, the correct one, in the ski. And you know, I wasn't getting any reading on the display for my fuel gauge, so I pulled out the sender, and needless to say, it is pretty roached. Okay, so the previous owner had bypassed this temp sensor. I had to buy the temp sensor used, and I just want to show you I've got brand new gates, safety stripe, a high temp heater hose. Here, that's replacing whatever old hose was used there. It looked like they just used fuel line, which I guess is fine, but there's a couple other questionable lines here, so I'm going to go through and replace all those. And then once I get this little sensor mounts right here, then I'm going to go ahead and put our new fuel lines on the new petcock valve. You can see I've got the return line on there and the breather line. Those both need to have zip ties on them. And then I'm going to use some brand new UFB fuel line. Okay, so just to give you an update here, I've got the OEM fuel valve all in place there, and it's looking good. You could see that the my fuel sender, it was bad, so I just cut the fuel sender off and then just put this plug back in there just so the fuel vapor from the tank doesn't go into the bilge too much. I just ordered new cables for this assembly. The cables that were in here turned out to be shot. So you can see I've got new hoses on everything. I've got a new marine grade stainless steel and glass with a replaceable element. And then you can see I'm using, I don't know if you can see that there, this is Trident brand, real high quality marine line. This is US Coast Guard type B115 compliant. So this is barrier lined. It reduces any type of vapor that could leak into the bilge. And then I've got that with zip ties at all the joints that have been tightened with a zip tie tool. And then I've just got all the lines put away cleanly. Then if you look over here where everything goes onto the carbs, I've got the return line, and then we've got our pulse line and our main fuel feed line. I've cleaned up the bilge pretty good. This e-box is going to be rebuilt. I'm going to change out all these connectors, strip this, and then repaint it. And I've cleaned up the bilge and tried to clean up the engine the best I can. And you can see this looks basically like new now. I treated it with a bleach solution and then sprayed it down with a couple coats of 303 protectant. Then there's our new to us display. It's got a couple light scratches on the screen that I could try to buff out with some clear gauge compound I have, but other than that, it's nice and crisp, doesn't have any sun damage. And that's going to wrap up everything for today. Here's the old exhaust hose. I wanted to show you this. So the previous owner had duct tape on that hose. kid you not, duct tape on that exhaust hose. So I've got some Shield Flex 2 marine hose. So here's a new piece of, this is Shield's marine hose, and here's the old stock hose. So I'm gonna cut this down just to about the same size as that. Within, you know, ½ an inch should be fine. Stay tuned for the next episode where I install the traction mats and brand new vinyl and finish buffing out the gel coat. This ski's coming along great and she's almost ready to hit the water.